You step lightly into a hush that feels older than silence, where the path is barely a path and lonely a suggestion. A gentle pull of space winding between moss-soft stones and crooked roots. Overhead, a canopy of twisting trees filters the dim light into shifting ribbons, green and gray, and always just out of reach. The world narrows into soft uncertainty, the air thick with the scent of damp leaves and something older: stone, dust, time. Here, beneath the curling ivy, the light has its own rhythm. It blinks in slow pulses among the leaves, faint and flickering, as if afraid to shine too boldly. Some drift like insects, some hover with the stillness of old lanterns hung and forgotten. They do not warm the air, they do not hum, they simply flicker, like breath caught in the throat of the earth. You walk slowly, and with each step the ivy presses closer, thick with memory. It climbs the stones in sweeping arcs, softening the jagged edges of broken monuments. Here, half buried in the roots of an elm, a stone leans askew, the letters worn almost smoothly. The name slides through your thoughts like a half-remembered song. Another stone, cracked and swallowed by green, murmurs Talus. A third whispers Monda M, barely there, the final E lost to lichen and shadow. The names do not frighten you. They do not speak with voices, nor do they reach. They are simply present, quiet companions in this garden of the nearly forgotten. They lie beneath the ivy like sleeping thoughts, wrapped in moss and hush. One of the lights flickers close to your face, slow, golden, unreal. You hold your breath, unsure if it will vanish, but it lingers for a heartbeat, then drifts away. Again into the leaves. You follow without urgency. Time here folds in on itself, and your thoughts float like dust motes in the dark. The path dips gently downward, as though it, too, is sinking into slumber. Stones form a broken stair, carved once by careful hands, and now worn to smooth curves by rain and quiet footsteps. Ivy hangs in curtains across the trail, and you push through gently, the leaves brushing your shoulders like cool fingers. Behind one curtain, a lantern swings softly from an iron crook driven into the earth. It glows without flame, pale and steady, illuminating a ring of ivy-covered stones laid in a circle like a forgotten gathering. You step into the circle. The ground is soft beneath your feet, turf padded with centuries of fallen leaves. In the center lies a shallow basin carved from stone, filled with rainwater and fragments of the sky. A single ivy vine curls into the water like a hand reaching home. You bend closer. The reflection shows not only your face, but flickering things. Beyond it unseen branches, distant lanterns, perhaps even the faint shimmer of other watchers peering gently through the veil of night. You feel no fear, only that dreamy weight of stillness that comes just before sleep overtakes you. A wind rises, not strong, but Charand rustles through the ivy with a sound like soft breathing. Somewhere far behind you, a branch creaks like a slow exhale. The circle darkens as the lantern above you dims, as though the wind has coaxed it into rest. One by one, the flickering lights among the ivy begin to fade, not extinguished, but absorbed, drawn into the leaves like dew. You step backward from the basin, not wanting to disturb the hush that has deepened. The path resumes, narrower now, barely more than a thin trail winding beneath the weight of hanging green. The ivy here grows thicker, trailing down from trees, coiling around low archways of stone barely taller than you. You duck beneath one, and the world beyond is dimmer still, the quietness profound. Here the stones no longer bear marks, soft etchings lost beneath the creeping vines. The light grows stranger, not brighter, not darker, just other. It shimmers in odd places. The edge of a leaf, the bend in a root, the hollow of a stone. You try not to look too hard at any one flicker. They seem to shift when you stare. They seem to vanish when named. There is a sense that this part of the path is less often traveled. The ivy here grows unpruned and wild, choking the edges of the stone trail. Yet the way forward is unmistakable, drawn by the subtle rhythm of flickering light and hush. You hear no birds, no insects hum, only your footsteps, and even those sounds softened, swallowed. Ahead, the ivy thins briefly, revealing a low stone wall that curves gently to the left. Tucked behind it, shielded by overgrowth, sits a bench simple, forgotten, made of wood and worn stone. A lantern hangs just above it, woven into the vines. It glows with a quiet pulse, like a heartbeat slowed by time. You sit. The bench is cool, damp, firm beneath you. The light sways above, casting shifting patterns across your hands. The wall behind you feels warm with age, the stones still exhaling the days-long memory. You close your eyes for a moment, and the world becomes sound and scent and drift. Wind again, the gentle scrape of ivy against stone. A breath that might not be yours. You open your eyes. Across from you, half hidden by a curtain of green, another bench waits, empty. A second lantern hangs above it, not flickering, not pulsing, simply still, as if waiting. You find yourself listening to the space between your heartbeats, wondering if the bench across from you has ever been empty for long. You do not rise, not yet. Instead, your gaze drifts to the edges of the stone wall, where ivy has begun to bloom with small, pale flowers, white, delicate, barely there. They look like stars caught in the leaves, or eyes that do not blink. A hush deeper than silence settles over the path. Even the lanterns seem to wait. You are suspended here, between one breath and the next, between the known and the dreamed. The wind stirs again, and this time you feel it as a whisper just behind your ear, gentle, wordless, but unmistakably shaped. It carries a sound, not quite a name, not quite a sigh. You turn slowly, but there is only ivy and dark and the faintest shimmer of something just out of reach. You rise from the bench, and the path waits. The lanterns do not flicker farewell. They remain steadfast, watching. As you step beneath the low arch once more, the vines part like fingers loosening from a forgotten grasp. Far behind you, the second lantern across from the empty bench begins to pulse. Soft, 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 and then still. You keep walking as the ivy thickens once more, the names behind you fading like dreams. A pale flower falls silently from above, landing on your shoulder without sound. Its petals are damp and cool, and shaped like a closed eye. You do not brush it away. The wind hushes the world as you approach the tree line. Its voice is low, not quite a whistle, not quite a sigh, a sound that feels older than language, as if the forest itself exhales with every fold of twilight. Dusk gathers thickly here, not with menace, but with something slower, something waiting. The colors of the sky are deepening, bruised violets, embered rose, and the last reluctant silver of day clinging to the undersides of drifting clouds. You pause at the threshold where grass becomes root and stone, and the last chirps of waking. Birds fall quiet, as if in deference to something sacred. A crooked wooden gate stands between you and the forest. Its hinges moan softly as it opens without your touch, as if the hollow beyond has been expecting you. The path curls inwards like a spiral of thought. Beneath your feet, the moss is damp and pliant, a softened quilt woven from centuries of leaves. Footsteps and forgotten dreams. Each step is soundless, the world narrows to breath and shadow. Here, even the trees seem uncertain of time. Some lean at impossible angles, like sleepers mid-turn, while others rise in long, solemn columns, bark mottled with patches of lichen-like faded memories. Their branches reach like arms through a half-dreamed sky, brushing one another with silent gestures. The canopy above is thick enough to cradle the dimming light, letting only the gentlest strands of moonglow fall through in scattered ribbons. You walk slowly, the air is perfumed with earth and rain, sweet rot and something older. Something like dust from a sealed book, or the scent of a chest opened after generations. Somewhere far off, a bell chimes once. Its sound does not echo. It simply appears, then fades. Like a thought you almost remembered, your breath quiets. You notice how nothing rustles, no insect drone, no squirrel darting through branches, not even the familiar flutter of wings overhead. Only the hush remains, soft and total. It is not silence, exactly, but the presence of something else, like standing in a cathedral abandoned long ago, where echoes still kneel in the pews. To your left, a hollow opens beneath the trees, a dip in the earth, wrapped in ferns and low stone walls barely visible under moss. The walls are too neat to be natural, though weathered by time and softened by ivy. A stone bench sits at the center, its back carved with faded shapes, crescent moons, coiled vines, and something that might be an eye or a star. You don't sit, but you pause, watching how the low mist pools around its base like breath exhaled from the ground. The wind returns. This time, it carries with it the sound of singing low, wordless, and impossibly distant. Like a lullaby sung through a closed window, it weaves between branches and settles behind your ears. You turn, but nothing moves. The song fades again, absorbed into the hush. You continue on. The path narrows as you move deeper. The trees bend inward now, their limbs crisscrossing in slow gestures, forming archways that seem more grown than placed. Some branches bear ribbons, faded silk or wool, long decayed. They flutter faintly, though there is no breeze here. One drifts down as you pass beneath, landing weightlessly on your shoulder before slipping away. You do not feel alone, but neither do you feel watched. There is a presence here, not hostile, not even curious, simply aware. As if the forest holds its breath when you move and exhales softly when you stop. You place your hand on one tree as you pass, and its bark is warm, pulsing faintly with a rhythm not your own. A lantern hangs from a branch just ahead. Its glow is amber, not bright, but enough to cast gentle shadows that sway like long-forgotten dancers. Beneath it, a small wooden sign hangs askew, the writing worn down to nearly nothing. You lean close, and perhaps you imagine it, but for a moment, the letters shift and shimmer, spelling something just out of reach. like a name you once knew in a dream. You don't touch the lantern. You simply watch it flicker. The light seems to pulse in time with your breath, slower, slower, until your pulse matches the quiet rhythm of the woods. Eventually, the path opens into a clearing. The hollow reveals itself in full, a shallow, circular basin where the trees fall away and the sky is visible again, though it seems dimmer here. The grass is impossibly soft, like velvet soaked in starlight. Stones rise in gentle, irregular patterns, not graves, not markers, but something older, monuments to things long returned to the earth. Some are covered in moss, others in tiny white flowers that bloom despite the absence of sun. At the center stands a single tree. Its bark is pale, almost silver. Its branches rise and fall like a slow breath. From its limbs hang dozens of small wind chimes, each different, each weathered, and though no wind moves them, they sound softly, tinkling, whispering, like lullabies made of bone and glass and lost time. You walk to the tree. Each chime you pass seems to sing a different note, some deep and sorrowful, others high and laughing. The tones blend and drift, not into melody, but into a kind of gentle disorder. Like dreams as they dissolve upon waking, you stand beneath it, and for a moment, a long lingering moment, the world forgets how to move. The forest hushes you. The wind rests. Even the air seems to stop shifting. In this pause, in this breath held too long, you feel the presence again, not above or around you, but within the hollow itself, as if the land remembers everyone who's ever stood here. As if you have stood here before. A leaf falls. It turns 3 times in the air before touching your palm. You look up, and the lantern, the one from before, now hangs from this tree, flickering gently, waiting. You turn to leave the hollow, but find no path. Only mist. Only the soft hush of windless air. Only the chimes, still whispering. And as you take one slow step forward, the ground sighs beneath your foot, and a light, far off, or perhaps deep within, flickers once, then again, and again, and then it fades. You walk softly now, deeper into the hush where the trees have twisted themselves into watchers. Their trunks lean slightly, not from age but from intention, bending toward the path, as if trying to overhear your quiet thoughts. The bark is no longer smooth but rippled and furrowed, like the folds of an old mind forgetting its shape. Leaves, dry and brittle as ancient paper, tremble with the slightest breath of air, though you feel no wind touch your skin. Here, something has changed. The sound of your footsteps grows muffled, swallowed into the loam, as if the forest no longer wishes to acknowledge your presence too loudly. You become a whisper, gliding along the path of soft roots and scattered needles. The earth exhales faintly beneath your steps, not unkindly, just weary, as though it has borne the passage of many like you, each searching for something they've forgotten how to name. Above, the branches sway slowly, though the sky holds no clouds and offers no breeze. You pause, listen. There it is again. Stir in the treetops, like breath drawn from a memory. The sound is not wind, not exactly. It moves with hesitation, as though unsure of its direction, spiraling between the limbs in circular patterns that never settle. A hush with texture. A murmur too soft to speak words, but thick with meaning. You close your eyes, and in that moment of stillness, the air finds its voice, not with a cry or shout, but a threadbare hum, like the remnants of a lullaby once sung to a child who no longer exists. The tones rise and fall with no melody, just the feeling of something once tender. Notes held too long, a voice thinning through time. Then silence, save for the rustle of a single leaf as it detaches and drifts, weightless, to the forest floor. You open your eyes, and the trees seem closer than before. Their bark shines faintly with dew that wasn't there, beads of mist catching light that shouldn't exist beneath the canopy. Their roots rise in soft spirals like curled fingers resting just beneath the surface, not grasping, just waiting. As you move forward again, the wind or what pretends to be wind trails behind you like a thought you tried to forget. It never pushes, never chills, but it is always there. Sometimes it carries fragments of something spoken. Sometimes it repeats itself, and sometimes it just hums. You begin to notice patterns in the airs, murmuring echoes nested inside echoes. A child's voice humming to itself. A woman calling for someone by name. A man whispering apologies. Over and over again. None of it clear. None of it new. You wonder if the wind remembers these things, or if it simply gathers what others have left behind. You pass a narrow stone embedded in the path, half swallowed by moss. Faint letters mark its surface, worn smooth by time. A name, perhaps, though it is unreadable now. The wind circles it as you pass, as if reading aloud from memory, whispering sounds too old for language. The trees lean farther now, and you must turn your shoulders to pass between them. The air is thicker, yet colder, touched by a memory you don't quite recall. A chill not in temperature, but in familiarity, like returning to a room you once wept in, long after forgetting why. A clearing opens before you, small and imperfect, shaped like a tear in the forest's breath. At its center stands a tall figure, not a person, but a sculpture of weathered wood, carved by wind or hand into a vaguely human form. Its arms are extended, palms up, cradling nothing. Eyes hollowed, mouth open in a silent, longing note. You do not approach, you simply watch. The wind changes again, pressing forward now, as if stirred by your hesitation. It flows over your shoulders, around your ankles, up your spine. The voices are softer here. More recent, one of them says your name, not quite, but almost. A syllable. Away, a vowel misplaced, but close enough to slow your breath. You step into the clearing. The sculpture does not move, but the space around it seems to exhale, releasing warmth from the ground in slow tendrils. The wind stills. The trees grow still. A hush falls that is not silence, but expectation. You kneel, you don't know why. The soil is warm beneath your fingers, dry and soft, as though untouched by the season. You trace lines into it, spirals, then forget what you were drawing. The wind has left completely now, or perhaps it has simply forgotten how to be wind, how to carry itself forward. The trees around the clearing seem older than the others. Their trunks are vast, split and hollow, filled with shadows. The air within them shimmers faintly, as if something unseen still moves inside slowly, purposefully, without form. You remain there a while, not in waiting, but in being. There is nothing to find here, nothing to understand. The wind has lost its name, and so have you, for a moment, a long moment, and then the wind returns. But it is not the same. It does not circle or hum. It does not whisper names or songs. It brushes past your ear with a sound like paper unfolding, like the crackle of old photographs, like a story long buried trying to lift its edges. You rise. The sculpture seems to lean slightly, not in movement, but in acknowledgement. One of its hands now holds something, a small ribbon, tattered and gray. You do not take it. You walk past. The trees open once more, though they do not grow less solemn. You do not feel watched now, only accompanied. The wind trails after you, hesitant, tugging at the hem of your sleeve like a child unsure if it should follow. Its voice returns in pieces, a breath, a sigh, a sound like the beginning of a word, caught in the throat. You do not speak. You leave the clearing behind, though something of it follows you, soft as dust in the folds of your memory. The wind does not know your name. It never did. But it tries to remember. With every leaf it stirs. With every sigh it carries forward into the trees. It tries, and as you walk deeper, the path disappears beneath fallen branches, and the air begins to hum again, softly, uncertainly, like a lantern swinging in the dark, its flame too quiet to name. Far behind you, the wind gathers around the empty clearing once more, and the ribbon trembles, as if remembering who once tied it there. You follow the path with quiet steps, your breath matching the hush of the windless night. The sky above is gray and low, a ceiling of ash that hides the stars. Trees loom to either side like forgotten sentinels, their bark peeling in soft strips, their limbs bare and aching. Everything around you holds its breath, and then a sound so faint you wonder if it's imagined. A distant bell, high and hollow. It rings once, then pauses, then rings again, not sharp, not urgent. A tone like glass dipped in water, too soft to echo, too precise to be natural. You stop walking. There is no wind, but the sound continues, slow and unhurried, tolling from nowhere and everywhere at once. A shiver rises, not of fear, but of ancient recognition, like the scent of a place you've never been, or the shadow of someone you once knew. You move again slowly. Every step carries you deeper into the hush. The bell rings once more. Now the path narrows, shrinking into a corridor of thornless brambles, twined and thick, arching above you to form a tunnel. Their thorns are long dulled by age, turned inwards like regret. Moss softens the ground beneath you, damp and springy, swallowing your footsteps in silence. The bell tolls again. This time, it's closer. A low mist curls along the path now, glowing faintly where it touches the tips of the brambles. It brushes against your ankles like cool fingers. Somewhere behind you, something creaks softly, perhaps a branch settling, perhaps something else, but you do not turn. You only keep walking, as if your body knows the way, even if your mind resists. You pass an old milestone, half buried in soil and lichen. No words remain, only the faint carving of a circle where a number might have been. The stone is warm when your fingers graze it. Dot above, the trees thin. Moonlight not silver, but pale gold spills through a gap in the branches. And in the middle of it, suspended by a fraying rope from the limb of a skeletal tree, hangs the bell, small, rusted, unmoving. And yet it sways. No wind stirs it. No hand touches it. Still, it rocks gently in the air, like a cradle set in motion long ago. Each time it leans to one side, a muted chime drips from it, like a memory falling into a well, too deep to to see the bottom. You feel the sound in your chest. It's not loud. It doesn't fill the clearing. Instead, it echoes within you, behind the ribs, just beneath thought. A sound shaped like sorrow, like a name you once knew and forgot. You step closer. The rope holding the bell is soaked with time, and yet it doesn't snap. The branch from which it hangs is bare of bark, pale as bone, hollowed in the middle by something that once nested there. The bell is made of iron, stained orange with age, its surface etched with hairline cracks and what might be letters, though they blur when you look too closely. You reach out a hand, not to touch it, but to feel the space it occupies the moment. Your fingers near, the bell stops swaying, the clearing stills, the fog around you thickens, and then, without movement, without wind, the bell chimes again. This time, it is inside your ears, no, inside your memory. You remember standing somewhere else, long ago, where another bell rang, perhaps in a town square, perhaps by a graveside. You remember the toll of it meaning something, not a signal, not a warning, but a marking of time, of ending. You take a breath. The air tastes like rust and wet leaves. The bell is ringing again. You look up and realize you are no longer alone in the clearing. Figures stand at the edges, just beyond the trees, motionless, half seen. They are not threatening. They do not approach. They watch, or perhaps they wait. One figure, tall and bent with something like age, raises a hand and points to the bell. As if to say, listen. You close your eyes. The ringing continues. Now it pulses with strange rhythm, slow and steady, like the beat of a tired heart. In its sound you hear layers, whispers, footsteps, the distant rush of a river that may never have existed. You open your eyes again. The figures are gone, but the mist remains, and the bell swings again. You try to remember when you first heard it. Earlier tonight, a week ago, or has it always been there, just beyond the veil of your thoughts? Tolling softly every time something slips away, a forgotten face, a lost promise, a dream unremembered by morning. You wonder if you are meant to take it down. You wonder what would happen if you did. But your hands remain at your sides. Instead, you sit beneath the bell, beneath its slow and endless rhythm. You lower yourself to the moss. The fog curls round your legs. The night presses in close but not cold. You sit and listen as the bell continues to ring, and each tone folds into the last, like ripples into still water. Your thoughts drift. You remember an old field, a wooden fence, a child's laughter, and above it, a sound like this one, but higher, cleaner, the kind of bell that calls people home. But that was long ago, and that bell was never real. Or maybe this one isn't. The sky above you dims too. Something darker than night. The trees begin to hum, so low you almost mistake it for wind. But the leaves are still. The air is heavy with quiet. And then the bell tolls again. Not louder, not faster, but different. It shifts its note just slightly, like a question asked in a new voice. You feel something change. A branch snaps somewhere. In the fog, a distant door creaks open. You don't know where. You don't know why. You only know the bell continues. You close your eyes again. You breathe in rust and moss and distant rain. And for a long while, you are very still. The sound moving through you like a current. Eventually, the ringing stops. The bell no longer sways, but in your chest the echo remains. Far off the sound resumes, so faint it might be your own breath. Returning to you, the mist thickens, the gold moon dims, and somewhere deeper in the woods, another bell begins to ring. The fog has thickened again, like sleep pressing against your eyes. It blurs the trees into silhouettes, as though memory itself is retreating, folding in on itself with each step you take. The air is damp, the kind of damp that clings gently to your skin and weightlessly to your thoughts. The world feels smaller now, more secret. Every breath you draw in feels wrapped in silence, and each step you take lands without echo. You follow the path, though no path is there, only a softness in the grass, a direction shaped by instinct or suggestion. And then, as it always happens, you turn your head, only for a moment, a glance to the side, a flicker of attention, and when you look back, there it is. The house that stands where the fog parts just enough to shape its outline. Crooked roof tiles, shingles missing like forgotten words in a sentence. Windows that shimmer faintly with a pale blue glow. It looks like it's been standing there for centuries, and yet the wet grass before it is unbroken, the steps free of moss. The door, always that door, is just slightly ajar, as if someone has only just stepped inside, or just stepped out. Pause, as you always do, unsure whether this place appeared because you looked away, or because you needed to. The mist thickens again, drawing soft, damp fingers along the back of your neck. You walk forward. Your steps make no sound on the old path that leads to the house. The fog recedes a little around it, a circle of clarity. Drawn in hush, the porch groans beneath your weight, though your feet are light. The blue light inside flickers, one says, though it noticed you. Not welcoming, not warning, just aware. The door does not open farther, it does not shut. It remains slightly ajar, holding a breath. You place your hand against it. The wood is cold but dry. You push it gently, and it yields just enough for you to slip inside. The fog doesn't follow. Within, the air smells like forgotten herbs and water left too long in a vase. Not rot, but memory stillness. The glow comes from no visible source, just a blue hum that clings to the walls, the ceilings, the narrow stairs winding upward. You walk on soft floorboards that give slightly, like someone has walked them too often, like they're remembering old footsteps. There is no furniture, and yet the rooms feel used. The walls breathe gently. Doors lead into places you cannot see. You do not open them. You're not sure if you're allowed to. Upstairs, the light deepens to a twilight hue, dustless and quiet. You find a hallway filled with closed doors. Each bears no name, but your fingers itch at the idea that you've known them, that one of them might open for you. One door has no handle. One is missing a panel. One is made of something darker than wood, burnt, perhaps, or simply a shadow that forgot to fade. You pass them by. You feel them watching you. At the end of the hall, a room waits, with its door open wide. It's here the light is brightest, almost moonlit. Though no moon can reach this place. The walls are bare. The air is thick. A rocking chair sits in the corner, unmoving. A mirror leans against the wall across from it, its glass soft with fog, like breath against it. You move toward the mirror. You do not see yourself. You see the house from outside. as if you are standing in the grass again, fog curling around your ankles. The windows glow with blue light. The door is ajar. A flicker passes the glass, something moving inside. A shape, a shift. It is not you. You blink. And the image fades. Now the mirror only shows mist. The chair creaks once, slow back and forth. You do not turn, not yet. The sound is slow, rhythmic, like a pulse drawn out through wood. And then it stops. There is no breath behind you, no footsteps, only stillness. You turn anyway. The chair is empty. It always was, but in the space beside it, on the floor, are shoes. Small, childlike, scuffed with mud that should be dry but glistens wetly in the blue light. The laces are tied in perfect bows. You do not know whose they are, but they have been waiting for someone. You leave the room. The hallway is longer than before, or perhaps you are slower. Each door you pass hums faintly now, like bees asleep in their hives, or whispers, dreaming beneath wood. The stairs creak gently under your weight on the way down, like bones remembering movement. You reach the front door again. It is closed, you do not remember it. Closing, you place your hand on it. The wood is warmer now, not welcoming, not warning, outside. The fog presses against the glass of the windows. It glows a little with that same blue shimmer, waiting, breathing. You open the door. The mist curls inward as you step out. It winds around your feet, your legs, your hands. It winds into your lungs like breath. The house remains behind you, unseen once more. When you glance back, it is gone. Only fog now, and a silence so soft, it might be singing. You walk forward again, the path uncertain. Somewhere far behind you. Wood creaks once more. A door, perhaps, easing open again. Or never having closed at all. The wind begins to pick up. Soft at first, like breath exhaled. Like someone whispering your name from behind a wall of mist. And in that whisper, the house waits again, just out of sight. You step lightly into a forest where the trees are closer together than they should be, their trunks like watchful sentinels, silent and tall. A fog clings low to the ground, curling around your ankles, soft and cool, like the edge of a dream. You can't quite remember. The canopy above is hushed. No birds, no wind, only the whisper of your own movement threading through the hush. And then, you see them. Thin white threads stretch between the trees, hundreds of them draped like silken veins, trembling ever so slightly in the airless still. They are almost invisible at first, until the mist catches the light of your lantern, and there they are, glimmering like frost-laced strings, suspended across your path in crooked, deliberate lines. Some hang low, brushing the earth. Others stretch high between branches, taut and gleaming. You pause. The hush deepens. The threads are not broken cobwebs nor hanging moss. They are too pale, too perfect. They are placed, hung, arranged with careful purpose. You reach out with quiet fingers. The thread before you is cold. It hums faintly beneath your touch. A low single note, like a distant harp string pulled in a long-forgotten room. As your skin brushes it again, the hum shifts. Another tone joins it, further away. And then another, a song low and scattered, rising through the mist. Each thread, you realize, sings when touched. Their music travels through the forest like soft ripples across water. You walk slowly now, each step deliberate. threads surround you like the inside of an enormous, silent instrument. Some vibrate faintly of their own accord, responding to the shift of your breath, the motion of your coat, the sound of your footsteps. Others remain still, waiting. The lullaby is not constant. It flickers, comes and goes like candlelight in a draft. You notice that when you pass through certain clusters of thread, the song changes. Minor chords in one glade, brighter notes near the roots of a leaning birch. Sometimes a melody trails behind you, faint and ghost-like, following your path before. Fading into the hush, you stop near a place where the trees open into a small hollow. Here, the fog lies thicker, pooling like memory around old stones half sunk in moss. The threads are denser now, layered in veils. Your breath slows. One thread hanging just in front of you bears something at its end, a tiny bundle wrapped in withered cloth, no larger than a sparrow. It sways faintly. Another beside it holds a silver thimble, dented and old. A third holds a child's button, worn smooth, offerings, mementos. You do not touch them. The lullaby continues, softer now, as though it knows you're listening more closely. It's not a melody you recognize, yet there's something inside it that stirs your memory. The rhythm of a cradle rocking, the hush of curtains moving in a nighttime breeze. A voice you once heard humming from another room. You follow a winding path between the threads. They seem to part for you, though none break. Instead, they stretch and bend as if moved by hands unseen. Each movement sets off a chime of delicate tones. The deeper you go, the more complex the music becomes, a careful layering of notes, and pauses, breaths, and silence. There is no sign of who hung them, no footprints, no ladder. No ladders could reach so high. A tree to your left bears a strange marking, not carved but threaded. Dozens of tiny white strands are woven into its bark in the shape of a closed eye. When you pause to look, the wind stirs, faint but definite, and the eye seems to blink. It could be your imagination, but the forest has long since moved past the rules of ordinary places. Farther in, you find a small circle where the threads hang vertically from the high canopy, like strings of a harp descending from the leaves. They are perfectly spaced, taut, calling. You step into the center, and every thread vibrates at once, not loudly, but enough to fill the air with a faint, aching hum. It surrounds you like breath, like the soft exhale of someone close. The forest listens. You are no longer sure you are alone. You close your eyes, and you begin to hear words beneath the hum, not spoken aloud, but felt. Like the way a song's meaning sits under its tune, they come in fragments. Sleep now, she's waiting. Do not pull the threads. Not yet. Remember the cradle. Remember the name. You try to recall a name. Any name. Yours or someone else's. But it slips away like mist between your fingers. The song grows quieter. Threads grow fewer. The forest thins. And as you continue forward, the music recedes behind you. A slow unraveling of sound. You reach one final thread alone, strung between two young saplings. It hums softly, then quiets. You touch it, and it breaks. The sound that follows is not a crack, but a sigh. All around, the other threads tremble, then still. The forest hushes completely. Your breath fogs in the cold air. A single sound continues. Faint and far away, the lullaby, playing itself backwards. You do not look back. You step beyond the last tree. The threads are behind you now, but the memory of their song lingers, thin and ghostly. Ahead, the fog deepens again. Something glimmers faintly in the distance, not light, not fire, just movement, as though something is weaving or waiting, and a thread, impossibly fine, brushes across your shoulder as you walk on. The mist rises. The trees fall quiet. A lullaby plays in reverse beneath the soil. A single thread unwinds through the leaves, trailing behind you like a forgotten breath. You walk deeper into the forest, where the birch trees grow thinner, their silver trunks like pale bones rising from the moss. The hush here is thick, muffled, as though the world is wrapped in cotton or drifting underwater. Your steps soften, with each pace, pressing into damp earth that remembers every footprint. A breeze moves through the canopy, not enough to stir the branches, only enough to carry the sound of your breath back to you. Slower, fainter, as if it belongs to someone else. There is a hush in the air now, different than before. Not just silence, but expectancy. The way a room feels just before someone speaks. You pause without knowing why, and that is when you see him. He stands between two birches, tall and still, as if he has always been there. His coat is buttoned high, old-fashioned and dust-colored, like something from a forgotten portrait. His hands are folded gently in front of him. He does not blink. His eyes are calm, quiet, and infinitely deep, like wells that hold nothing but the sky. His presence does not feel dangerous, but something about him bends the world slightly askew, like a mirror bowed too long in the heat. The strangest thing is not how still he stands, not the way he seems to wait for you, not even the heavy hush that follows him. It is that he casts no shadow, not behind, not before, not to the side. The ground beneath him, cool with shade and leaf litter, bears no mark of his form. The sun threads softly through the canopy above but around him. It simply forgets to fall. You try to understand this with your eyes, but your mind moves slower now, like it too is wrapped in fog. You are not afraid, though part of you knows you should be. You are only still, watching. Then, he lifts one hand, not a wave, not a beckon, just an opening gesture, palm tilted gently upward, as though he is offering something unseen. And that is when you notice, behind him, a path you hadn't seen before. A narrow corridor between birches, lined with small stones worn, smooth, almost luminous in the dusklight. You know it wasn't there a moment ago. You would have seen it. You did see, but now it is here, unfolding behind him like a ribbon of old breath. He does not speak, but something inside you stirs, nods. A hush within the hush, agreeing. You take a step forward. He neither moves nor withdraws as you near. You notice details that weren't clear from afar: the soft graying at his temples, the faint, threadbare patch at the edge of his sleeve, the smell of earth and fallen rain that lingers around him. Time hangs thick in the air between you, and still, no shadow. You step past him. He turns his head just enough to follow your motion. Not with menace, only acknowledgement, a witnessing. You feel his gaze like a fingertip on the back of your neck, but it is not unkind. You do not shiver. The stones beneath your feet click faintly as you walk. The birch trees on either side arch close, their bark like parchment, peeling in curled flakes. A wind stirs here soft and cool, carrying a scent like distant memory. Chalk, damp wood. The breath of an attic left closed too long. Somewhere behind you, the quiet man still stands. You don't need to look, you know. As you follow the hidden path, the trees begin to lean more steeply, as though they are listening. The ground dips downward, shallow at first, then more pronounced till the path becomes a slow, sloping descent. A murmur rises ahead, gentle, steady, as though the earth is whispering to itself. A brook, perhaps, or the rustle of leaves. Too far away to touch. You pass a lantern, unlit, swaying softly on a rusted iron hook. Then another, and another. Each one holds a quiet flame, not burning, but glowing faintly, like old breath caught in glass. The path narrows further, hedged now with thornless bramble, its branches bare yet curiously alive, twitching faintly as you pass. The air feels older here. It doesn't move the way air should. It seems to wait, as if listening to your steps. Or perhaps remembering them. You begin to notice stones carved with names, not full graves, not quite, but smooth tablets half buried in moss. Each etched with a name in script too faded to read. Some have dates, some have only initials. All are quiet. All seem to lean slightly toward the path, as if watching. And still you walk. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the stone beneath you. Your breath folds into the mist that creeps along the forest floor, coiling around your ankles like a sleepwalker's sigh. Then, just as the path curves inward, forming a see him again, the quiet man, already waiting. Still no shadow, still no sound, only the gentle tilt of his head, as though he is listening for something only you can hear. Around him, the birches grow wider apart. An open space forms, not quite a clearing, but a breath of stillness. At its center is a low stone bench, wet with dew that never dries. Beside it, a mirror tall and freestanding, its surface dim with age. You see yourself in it, but your reflection flickers faintly, like candlelight. You approach the bench. Sit. The stone is cold, but not unkind. The air is full of waiting. The quiet man remains nearby, unmoving. You watch your reflection shimmer, then blur. Shapes shift behind the glass forest. Moonlight, the outline of a cottage roof. A figure standing by a window. A hand brushing fog from glass. Images that feel familiar, though you know they are not your own. Somewhere far off, a bell chimes one low note, then silence. You do not know where it comes from. You do not know what it means, but the sound sinks into your skin like dusk. The quiet man lowers his gaze, and the mirror fades to silver once more. He walks then softly, slowly toward the edge of the clearing. The earth does not bend beneath his steps. The leaves do not rustle at his passing. He does not look back. But still, no shadow. You rise, unsure if you are meant to follow. You do not need an answer, because you already are. As you step from the clearing, a hush folds over the path once more. Behind you, the birches sway, but no wind touches your face. Ahead, the lanterns flicker quietly to life, one by one, without flame. And somewhere in the trees behind you, something walks beside you, but leaves no mark upon the ground. The forest deepens with every step, a hush settling into your bones like sleep drawn across tired shoulders. The path narrows, more suggestion than trail, soft with moss and fallen needles. Ferns press in from both sides, their fronds brushing your skin like cool fingertips, curious and slow. The air is damp and green, steeped in old rains and root-deep memory. You walk slowly, each footfall swallowed by earth, softened by centuries. The trees here lean closer together, old guardians. With hollow hearts, their trunks streaked with lichen and time. Mist seeps between them like something remembering how to breathe. It curls at your ankles and slides up your legs. Not cold, but not warm, either, only present. Like a question unanswered. There are no birds here, no rustling of squirrel or fox. Only the quiet hush of your breath and the faint shift of fern. Leaves when you pass, as if they are nodding, or bowing, or listening. The farther you go, the thicker they grow, rising higher than your waist, then your shoulders, then your eyes until you are threading through a green tunnel. The ferns partying before you and whispering closed behind. And then a sound, not words, not quite a hum, low and wavering like a song too shy to surface. It trembles at the edge of hearing, as though the earth itself is remembering an old melody. You stop, and the sound does not. It swells just a little, like a sigh pressed into soil, like someone singing through moss. Your breath stills. You listen. There's rhythm in it, not human, but not entirely wild. A kind of cadence, rising and falling like sleep. You crouch, brushing aside the layered green to press your ear to the mossy ground. And there, beneath the soil's thin skin, the hum deepens. You feel it as much as hear it. Like lullabies exhaled into the roots of the world. You rise slowly. The path has gone, if it ever was here at all. All directions are the same now, soft fern walls, silver mist, branches bowing in silent arcs. You choose forward, or what feels like it, and the hum follows you. Or maybe you follow it. There's no fear in your chest, only a wide stillness, a sense of being watched with gentle eyes, the kind that don't blink. You pass beneath a crooked arch of birch, their pale bark peeling like sleep from skin. A scatter of white petals dusts the moss below, but there are no flowers here, just the petals, as if something bloomed in the night and vanished with the light. The humming changes, a soft flicker of harmony now, as though more than one voice has joined in, high and low, wavering and warm. You pause beside a cluster of stones half sunk in the green, their tops worn smooth as polished bone. Between them grows a fern larger than the rest, its stalks trembling though there is no wind. You kneel, the voices feel close now. You place your hand to the earth, and the sound rises through your palm like warmth, like memory. You don't understand the melody, but it feels familiar, like something you heard before you were born. A comfort you once knew, just at the edge of language. A cradle song from a place beneath all places. It begins to rain, not heavily, just a fine mist that settles on your shoulders and leaves no cold behind. The ferns shimmer with it, and you feel as if the whole forest is exhaling. The ground is breathing slowly, deeply, and the song grows clearer. Now a new sound, subtle, rhythmic, not quite footsteps, not quite drums. A soft percussion beneath the melody, perhaps water dripping onto leaves, or roots shifting in sleep. You turn toward it, drawn without thought. The path, such as it is, widens again. You emerge into a low glade, sunken like a forgotten bowl. Ferns line its rim, and in the center lies a pool of still water, black as ink, smooth as glass. No ripples, no reflection. You approach. The song is loudest here not in volume, but in presence. It is everywhere, folded into the damp air, curled around the ferns, trembling at the surface of the pool. You kneel beside it, gaze into its depthless surface. It does not show your face. Instead, you see something like shadow and something like light, moving very slowly, just beneath, and then a breath not yours. A long, soft exhale rises from the pool, and the surface shivers. Ferns around the glade bend inward, as if listening. The hum becomes a whisper, closer now, clearer. Still not language, but meaningful. You do not speak, you only sit. And the pool breathes again. You think of lullabies, of soft hands and lull-lit rooms, of stories never told aloud but passed through soil and root and stone. This is such a place, a resting place, a remembering place. The forest is not lonely. Here it is full of echoes, of songs, of souls not lost, only sleeping. You do not move for a long while. When you finally rise, the path opens without asking. A soft parting of fronds and vines. The voices do not follow, but you feel them lingering in your chest, like the last line of a half-remembered verse. You walk slowly, above you. The canopy sways, though no wind stirs. Behind you, the pool sleeps again. And from far off, soft as a breath, a final whisper stirs the mist. A single fern unfurls toward your fading warmth. The forest is quiet tonight, as if it too has begun to dream. You move slowly beneath the bowed boughs of age-old trees, their limbs drooping low with mist and moss, whispering in brittle creaks with each faint gust of wind. Your footsteps are soundless on the sponge-soft earth. The moon is a milky smear behind gauzy clouds, and the air tastes faintly of rain not yet fallen. Deeper into the wood, where the path forgets its direction and ferns grow in whispered spirals, you see something. Resting ahead, a low shape, unbothered by time. A moss-covered stump, half swallowed by the forest, and on it, as though placed there by a hand that no longer exists, lies a book. It is thick and bound in blackened leather, edges frayed like leaves at the turn of autumn. The cover bears no title, only faint grooves worn by age and weather. But it is the way the pages move that stills you. They rise and fall, with the rhythm of a breath held in sleep, not the breeze, not an animal. The book itself is breathing. You kneel beside it, the ground damp and cool beneath your knees. A hush settles around you. Even the forest holds its breath. You place your hand gently on the cover. The leather is warm, not alive, not quite, but not dead either. It yields slightly to your touch, as if remembering the weight of a palm long gone. When you lift the cover, it opens easily, as though it has been waiting. The ink shimmers, like dew on the first page, not black, not blue, but silver-threaded with memory. The letters curl and uncurl like smoke. Reshaping with your gaze, you begin to read. But they are not words at first, not really. They are suggestions, shadows of thoughts. A sentence appears, then fades. A phrase returns, altered. A name you almost remember. A place you've never seen but feel you must have walked through once, long ago, in a half-forgotten dream. The book reads you as much as you read it. It senses what lies beneath your still face, beneath your gentle breath, and draws it to the surface like mist rising from the damp earth. A dream you had when you were a child, of a room with velvet curtains and mirrors that whispered flickers on the page. You didn't think you remembered that, and yet, there it is, written plainly as if it had never left. The pages turn themselves. Each one reveals a memory that might have been yours, or might not. A hallway lined with clocks all ticking out of time. A forest where the trees leaned down to listen to your thoughts. A candlelit room where a girl with no eyes hummed lullabies to the dust. Some memories are gentle. A quiet lake, moonlight painting a silver path across the water. Your hand outstretched, touching the air where someone once stood beside you. Others are more strange. A sky filled with birds flying backward. A door that opens into a room that leads back to the same door. A voice calling your name, not from behind, but from within. You do not question the book. You simply read. Because something about it feels like sleep. Like drifting, like floating backward through fog. The pages rise and fall. In time with your breath now, one page catches your eye. Not for what it says, but for what it doesn't. It is blank at first. Then, slowly, one word appears in the center, in faint. Trembling lines: remember. The word seems to pulse, not like a heartbeat, but like the slow glow of an ember. Beneath it, lines begin to form, hesitant, like footsteps through snow. You recognize the shape of a story before it has fully appeared. It is a story you once told to yourself, in bed, when the lights were off and the wind outside sounded like waves. A tale of a staircase that never ended, of voices whispering below your bed, of a lantern left in the hallway that was never there the next morning. You had forgotten this, but the book had not. The air around you thickens, not with danger, but with presence. You are not alone, but you are not afraid. A breeze brushes past, lifting your hair, rustling the trees. The forest feels closer now, as though it too is reading over your shoulder. The book's pages flutter softly. They do not turn now, they shiver. You look up. Beyond the clearing, just beyond the rim of vision, you see it. Figures, or shadows of figures. They do not move, not really, but they are there, watching, waiting, quiet as thought. You blink, and they vanish. Or perhaps they were never there. You turn back to the book. Now the words have changed. The script is more fluid, more sure. It knows you. You read. You walked through a door that had no handle. You lit a candle that had no wick. You sat beneath a tree that whispered your name back to you. Not in your voice, but in the voice of someone you once loved and cannot name. You do not remember this, but you do that the pages turn. Slowly now, they begin to speak of the present, of the forest stump where you kneel, of the silence that deepens around you like a pool. The book is no longer remembering. It is recording, describing, writing your breath, your heartbeat. The thoughts brushing the edge of your mind like moths on old glass. You are becoming part of it. The leather cover is warmer now. The spine hums faintly. The pages breathe in time with you. Or are you breathing in time with them? You feel no fear, only stillness. And then you see your name, not printed, not written, etched in ink that gleams with dew, curved into the spine of the book's final page. Not a title, not an ending. Simply your name, and beneath it, to be continued in dreams. You close the book, gently. The forest exhales. The moss beneath your knees feels softer, heavier. Your limbs are made of mist and memory. The stump sighs beneath the weight of the closed book. The breath of its pages still rises and falls. You leave it there. You rise slowly, as if surfacing from a deep pool. The path is behind you or ahead. It doesn't matter now. Your footsteps drift soundlessly once more across the damp forest floor. Your pulse quiet as pages turning in a forgotten room behind you. The book sleeps again. Its pages lift and fall, and lift and fall, and as you walk into the shadows between the trees, you think you hear, very faintly, your name whispered. From between the breathing pages, a flicker of ink glows faintly in the dark behind you. The book sighs once, then stills, and somewhere far away, a page begins to turn itself. You walk slowly beneath the low sky of unmoving clouds, their bellies swollen with dusk. The path is not a path, but a stretch of cool earth pocked with mossy impressions, as if hundreds of sleepers once lay here, dreaming quietly into the soil. Your breath is steady, shallow. Even the air seems hesitant, like it has forgotten how to stir. You follow the silence. Trees lean inward, their bark slick with memory. Every branch seems to sigh as you pass, trailing invisible fingers across your shoulders. The world narrows, darker and softer, until you find yourself in a hollow, a clearing, so quiet it feels like it's remembering something it can no longer name. In the center of the hollow rests a bed. Its iron frame is sunken deep into the ground, as though sleep itself became too heavy. Twisting vines have threaded through the spindles, blooming with translucent petals that sway without wind. The sheets, what remains of them, are a weave of moss and whispering cobwebs. A quilt of soil and fallen leaves tucks into the edges. Where the mattress should be, a tree grows. Its trunk coils upward in a slow spiral, bark smooth and pale as candle wax. The wood hums faintly when you near, a note almost too low to hear, almost too soft to follow. Its limbs reach out like sleepwalkers, brushing against the dark above. The tree is flowering. Dozens of pale blooms unfurl like little lungs, inhaling moonlight. They pulse gently, in time with something not quite your heartbeat. You sit at the edge of the bed. The iron is cold, but not unkind. Beneath your fingertips, the rails feel worn by dreams. You imagine the sleepers who once lay here, one by one, letting go of the day, folding themselves into this earthbound cradle. Maybe they never woke. Above the branches stir. A single bloom detaches, falling slow as thought. When it lands on your lap, it releases a breath of sound, a lullaby. It begins with bells, tiny ones, far away, and the hush of a turning page. The melody sways, slow and circular, like a music box winding down in an empty nursery. No lyrics, only the hum of forgotten words. You listen. A hush of voices joins in, layered, ghostly. Children, perhaps, or echoes of them. They sing as if from deep within pillows, as if their mouths are full of dust and feathers. The song circles you, over and over, until you are no longer sure where it begins or where it might end. Only that it belongs here, with the tree, the bed, the soft breath of flowers. The tree creaks gently above you, not like a warning, but like it's dreaming. Sap glistens on the bark, catching stray glimmers from no visible light. When you look up, You realize the stars are missing. The sky has been swallowed by leaves, thick and dark, and full of shapes that move with no wind. Your eyes drift shut. But even now, you are not alone. Something shifts in the soil beside the bed. Not threatening, just present. You feel it, the way you feel someone watching from the far side of a half-forgotten dream. Not cruel, not curious, just old, a story. Maybe, waiting to be told. You lie back onto the moss-lined bed. The branches above weave tighter, becoming a canopy of sleep. As your head touches the pillow of damp leaves, the lullaby grows clearer, not louder, just closer. It sings of rivers that never wake, of candlelit rooms where time has curled up and gone still, of children who drift out windows like dandelion seeds and never fall. The song cradles your thoughts, gathering them like thread, weaving them into the roots beneath. You wonder, briefly, what it would mean to grow here, if your dreams would become leaves, if your memories would become fruit, hanging low and heavy with forgotten sweetness. If your name, spoken one last time, would curl into the bark and disappear. Something shifts again gently, as if the tree has sighed. Or perhaps it's you. Above, one of the flowers opens wider, releasing a soft silver mist. It drifts down. Over you, sweet and thick, smelling faintly of old linen and lavender, and something older. The hush of closed doors. The quiet between chapters. The lullaby begins to falter, then repeat. Like a thought circling itself, refusing to fade. It starts again, a loop of memory, smoothing every wrinkle in the mind. You feel yourself folding inward, like a page in a well-read book. Like petals closing. The bed groans beneath. You, the iron warming, not from fire, from presence, from patience, from roots. You are not sinking, not quite, but you are becoming part of it. And around you the flowers continue to bloom, each one a soft memory. A breath, a hush dot, a flicker dot. Far off beyond the clearing you think you hear footsteps, soft, slow, uncertain, not approaching, not fleeing, just wandering, as if someone else is being drawn here, following the lullaby you no longer hear. The sky above remains heavy and unbroken. No stars, just the dim suggestion of shapes, shifting slowly like sleeping limbs beneath a blanket of clouds. You close your eyes again, or maybe you never opened them. The lullaby fades, not ending, just receding into the petals. The roots beneath you pulse once, like a sigh of contentment. Somewhere deep in the tree, a single bell rings faint, final or perhaps just beginning again. You feel it in your ribs. You do not move, and just as sleep takes hold, the very last thing you see is this. A petal drifting down, slow and silver, landing on your chest and softly dissolving into the shape of a hand. The wind picks up, the branches whisper, the bed creaks again just once. You step through a clearing hemmed with ash-gray trees, their bark peeled in long curls like forgotten letters. A soft ticking reaches your ears, gentle and steady, like a memory not fully remembered. The sound is faint at first, nearly drowned by the hush of wind brushing against hollow trunks. But as you move forward, the tick grows clearer, more deliberate, pulsing in the air like a second heartbeat. It draws you toward a bent arch formed by two entwined trees, their limbs gnarled, together above a moss-dark path. Hanging from the arch's center, just low enough for you to see it fully, is a clock. Its body is wooden, round, and cracked at the edges, the face pale as bone. The hands are missing no hour, no minute, but still it ticks, slowly, thoughtfully, as if measuring something more ancient than time. You pause beneath it. The tick continues. Tick, tick, dot, dot. Not frantic, not broken, just dot, 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 steady. Like a whisper counting dreams in a forgotten room. Your breath stills. Around you, the forest leans inward, branches stretching like arms made of fog and memory. The ground beneath your feet is soft. Not earth exactly, but something looser, like layered dust or worn velvet. You step forward again, and the sound beneath your boots is muffled, as if the path itself is trying to remember its shape. Each tick of the clock behind you nudges the world forward. But forward, dot, 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 where? There is no sun above, only a pale wash of silver, like the sky is remembering light. Trees to your left shimmer slightly, not with color, but with a shimmer of something else, something not quite visible. You tilt your head and listen. Somewhere in the distance, a bell chimes once, then fades. You walk slowly now, not because you're afraid, but because something in this place asks for reverence. It feels like a library for forgotten hours. A sanctuary where lost time comes to rest. On either side of the path, old objects peek out from under leaves. A rusted compass, its needle spinning lazily. A porcelain doll with no eyes. A spoon bent perfectly in half. Relics of moments that slipped through someone's fingers. You wonder whose. You wonder if they still remember what they lost. Tick. The clock behind you is far now, but its sound travels through the air like a thread tied to your ankle, pulling gently backward. Or is it forward? You're not sure anymore which way you're walking. The trees on either side are the same. The scent in the air damp, sweet, a little like rain on old stone, hasn't changed. You begin to forget how long you've been walking, or how far, or why you started. A clearing opens up ahead, round and softly lit by a glow that doesn't come from the sky. In the center is a table carved from something dark and glassy, its surface covered with clocks. Dozens of them. Some tall and thin, like candle holders. Others squat and rusting, half sunk into the soil. None have hands. And yet all of them tick together, not in unison, but in harmony, like 100 soft heartbeats falling in and out of rhythm. You move closer. The clocks seem too quiet when you near them, as though they recognize something in you. Or maybe you've simply entered their frequency. You place a hand on the edge of the table. It's warm, not from heat, but from memory. The kind of warmth you feel when you hold a photograph of someone long gone. The ticking continues, surrounding you, soothing you. Every tick a small breath. Every breath a reminder that something is always moving, even if you don't see it. You close your eyes and time folds. Memories that may not be yours flutter through your mind. A hallway filled with lavender light. A staircase where each step feels softer than the last. A door that leads back to a place you've never been. These thoughts drift in, slow and delicate, like leaves floating across still water. You do not hold them. You simply let them pass, carried by the current of whatever this place is. You open your eyes again. The table is gone. Or perhaps you are. You stand now in a hallway made of wood, so dark it swallows light. The air is still, heavy with scent, pine, wax, dust. The floor creaks beneath you, but softly, as though the boards are whispering secrets to one another. Along the hallway walls, more clocks rest, some with glass faces fogged over, others cracked clean through, none with hands, none with time. And yet, the ticking continues. You run your fingers along the wall as you walk. It feels endless, dreamlike. Each tick in the air is like a gentle push forward or back. You try to remember your name, your destination, a point of origin. But everything is blurred now, fluid, stretching like smoke. You pause beside a clock shaped like a birdcage. Inside, where a bird might rest, a feather floats mid-air, unmoving. Yet below it, a pendulum swings gently, though nothing supports it. You could swear the clock sighs. You continue walking. The hall twists, or the world does, and then, a doorway. It is simple wood aged, its edges rounded as though smoothed by countless hands. You touch the knob, cold, not unpleasantly. So, you turn it, and the door creaks open into a room filled with mirrors. The mirrors show no reflection, only movement. A flicker of something walking past. A shape sitting in a chair that isn't there. A light swinging above, though the ceiling is dark. And in every mirror, a clock. Some ticking, some silent, all without hands. You step inside, and time slows again. You feel it wrap around you like a cloak. Not threatening, but weighty, full of layered hours. You are inside a forgotten moment now. A room caught between seconds. No beginning, no end. Just here. You look into one of the mirrors. There is something waiting in it. Not you, but close. Familiar in a way that aches. It leans forward, and though its face is shadowed, it does not feel cruel. It raises one finger to where the hour hand should be, and slowly draws a circle in the air. The tick behind you halts. Just once. A single, suspended breath, then begins again, but softer, slower. You step back from the mirror. The room has changed, or maybe the light has. You are standing outside, again, beneath the arch. The wooden clock still hangs, swaying gently, though there is no wind. You listen to it. Tick, dot dot dot, tick dot. You feel different now, though you're not sure why. Something has unspooled in you. Something quiet, like a name once whispered and now forgotten. You glance down the path ahead. It looks familiar, and not. You begin to walk again. The sound of the ticking follows you, like footsteps made of breath. Above you, the wooden clock shivers once, though no hand touches it. A single leaf falls from the archway and lands face up on the ground, blank, except for the faintest impression of a time that was never marked. The wind picks up, but only slightly, just enough to carry you forward. You enter the grove just as the wind begins to still. The trees here are different, taller, older, their bark silvered with age, their branches reaching outward like arms uncurled in sleep. The canopy above shivers slightly, though no breeze moves through. Light does not fall here, not directly. It filters down in pale ribbons, the color of faded parchment, barely touching the moss-covered floor. Your steps slow on instinct, as though some hush has pressed itself into the soil beneath your feet. You do not know why, but you are careful. Not to snap a twig, not to disturb a leaf. The silence isn't fragile, it's sacred. Then, very softly, the singing begins. At first, you think it's the wind again, a murmuring in the branches. arise and fall like breath. But it isn't wind. The sound carries no direction, no source. It comes from above, from somewhere high in the trees, woven into the green, cradled in the limbs. The voices are wordless, yet they speak. Layered, delicate. Their tones dip and rise like the curve of a bird's wing. You cannot tell how many there are 3, certain, 30, 100. They do not sing a melody, not exactly, but they belong to one another, each note stitched to the next with invisible thread. You stop walking. Not because you're afraid, but because something in you knows this moment should not be passed through. It should be listened to. The sound seeps into you, through skin and memory, like water into dry roots. There is no fear here, only a feeling like recognition, like standing at the edge of something you forgot you once knew. Above, the leaves rustle faintly, though again no wind comes. The rustle seems to breathe in time with the voices and echo, or a rhythm, or perhaps a kind of silent harmony. You lift your eyes toward the branches. The shapes are indistinct dark figures suspended in the canopy, too high and hidden to resolve. Yet you do not feel watched. Instead, the presence is welcoming, if such a thing can be said without words. You are not being summoned. You are simply being allowed. And so you remain still. A long, sighing chord weaves through the canopy, slow and low and endlessly soft. It seems to touch the bark, the stone, the air itself, like music meant not for ears, but for the forest's own memory. You close your eyes, and in that hush behind your breath, something ancient stirs. A moment, a memory rises unbidden. Not yours, not fully, but you see it. A grove long ago, and figures gathered in circles beneath moonlight, there. Hands linked, their mouths open, in silent song. A ritual, perhaps. Or simply a remembering. Something that existed before language, before walls, before names. When you open your eyes again, the trees are still. The song continues. You walk slowly now, not toward the sound, but through it. Though the air itself has become music. Every branch you pass seems to carry a different note. The moss beneath your feet hums in tones too low to hear, but not too low to feel. You press your hand to the bark of a tree, and for a moment the song grows louder, not around you, but within you. A warmth enters your palm, then flows up your arm, across your chest. You don't pull away. The sensation is neither painful nor frightening. It is tender, familiar. You continue walking, guided not by path or sight, but by the rhythm of the sound itself. A clearing opens ahead, small and round, ringed with stones half buried in moss. At the center stands a tree, unlike the rest, its bark smooth and pale, its limbs almost translucent where they meet the light. No leaves grow upon it, yet it pulses with a quiet presence, as though it breathes in time with the choir. You sit at the base of this tree, and the sound gathers around you like a cloak. Here, the music is gentler, as though the voices have noticed you, as though they are remembering with you. You do not speak. You do not need to. Time folds softly here. You cannot tell how long you remain, moments, hours, a season, drifting slowly through its own song. The sky above has deepened, not darkened, only deepened. A kind of velvet gray, woven with soft threads of dusk. You feel no urge to move, only to listen. And as you sit, something begins to change. The voices shift slightly, their tone no longer only memory, but invitation. Not a call, not a demand, Only a gentle opening, as though, if you wished, you could hum along, so you do. You don't know the tune, but your breath finds the rhythm. Your throat hums low, uncertain, then steady. The sound you make is small, but the choir shifts to meet it. Folds you in, you are not one of them. But you are not separate now. Something passes between you and the unseen singers high above. A warmth, a kindness, a quiet understanding. Your voice fades, but theirs remain. You are allowed to stop. They do not dot, and for a moment, you think perhaps they do not stop at all. Perhaps they sing always, a lullaby for the leaves, a hymn for the moss, a song for those who remember, and for those who do not. When you rise, the clearing is unchanged. The pale tree still stands, serene and knowing. The stones still hold their circle. The moss breathes beneath your feet. The singing follows you. Now not as sound, but as a thread beneath your thoughts. It does not distract. It soothes as you step back beneath the canopy. The forest accepts your return without question. The path has shifted, though you do not mind. The hush remains above. The branches sway just once. The leaves shiver with breath, and far, far up, the choir sings on. A single note lingers in the air behind you, almost too soft to hear. You pause, but the sound does not ask you to. The trees lean gently toward one another, as if to whisper. Then the quiet takes them back. You step through the undergrowth, where the fog clings low and silver, curling around your ankles like soft thread pulled loose from an old, forgotten coat. The trees are older, here vast, knotted things that lean slightly inward, their bark furrowed like the faces of quiet mourners. Their branches hang with slow sorrow, swaying gently though there is no wind. Beneath your feet, the forest floor feels unusually soft, almost sponge-like, as if layered in centuries of moss and memory. Each step is muffled, padded, the world hushed in reverence. You begin to notice something strange beneath the mossy carpeted network of roots. Not tangled or wild, but orderly, deliberate. They move in curling lines like script, like writing etched in the dark soil. Names not carved or planted, but grown. They glow faintly beneath the moss, their edges humming with a slow warmth. Some names are short and simple, curling like tendrils of smoke. Others wind long and sinuous, as if they belong to stories too old to hold in your mouth. You do not recognize them, yet each one carries a distant ache, a familiarity without origin. Your fingers drift down, brushing one of the roots. It feels warm, pulsing faintly under your touch, like the slow beat of a sleeping heart. As your skin makes contact, something stirs not in the forest, but in your mind, you see a candlelit room you've never entered, smell the scent of pine smoke and beeswax. A woman's voice, worn and warm, is humming a lullaby you've never learned but can hum back perfectly. A child's wooden horse rocks gently in the corner. Dust motes hang in golden shafts of morning light. You blink and the vision dissolves, leaving behind a quiet ache in your chest and a name resting on your tongue rail. The forest does not speak, but it waits. You kneel among the roots, trailing your fingers across another name. The moment you touch it, a breeze lifts through the trees, and you see a great hill wrapped in heather, a crumbling stone cairn at its summit. The scent of rain on old stone, a heavy key tucked into a leather pouch, worn smooth from years of keeping a promise made under starlight. You were never there. And yet you feel the weight of that key still pressing into your palm. These memories are not yours, but they settle around you like a borrowed coat that fits too well. You begin to wonder who remembers whom, if these names grew from the forest, or if the forest grew from the names. A bird calls once, low and mournful, then is silent again. The further you walk, the thicker the names become, roots overlapping, whispering beneath the soil in a language older than breath. You begin to read them without effort, their forms imprinted into your knowing. Some names hum with joy, others with sorrow. One glows blue and cold to the touch, and the memory it brings is of a ship swallowed by ice, lanterns flickering in the fog, the endless creaking of timbers under strain. There are names here that feel like lullabies, and names that carry thunder. Behind your eyes, you pass a root so thick it arches from one tree to another like a bridge. Along its side, the name is etched deeply in. You feel compelled to sit. The moment you do, the forest shifts subtly. The fog thickens, then clears in patches. Through it, you see fleeting glimpses of a girl in a green cloak walking through snow, a door carved with stars, a riverbank where candles float endlessly downstream. Your breath slows. You are not afraid. You are being remembered. And then you hear it, a soft, almost inaudible chant. Not a song, not a voice, but something in between. The names are speaking, not aloud, but through the rhythm of the forest, in the hush of leaves, and the pulse beneath your palm. You listen, and the chant becomes clearer. It is a welcoming, a beckoning, a quiet acknowledgement that you, too, are a name in the making. You rise and walk deeper. The forest darkens subtly, not with malice, but with the feeling of descent, like entering an old library or an ancient crypt. The names grow denser, now etched on bark, traced in lichen, whispered in the swing of moss. Every surface holds some memory. Even the rocks seem to breathe slightly under your gaze. You come to a clearing ringed by crooked birches. In the center, a great root rises from the earth like a twisted monument. It pulses steadily with golden light. Around it, names spiral out in every direction. Some flicker, some sleep. At its base lies a hollow, filled with mist. You lean in and feel the warmth of the root radiating like a distant sun. You place your hand gently against it. Your vision blurs again. This time, you see a room lined with shelves, each shelf filled, not with books, but with small wooden boxes, each engraved with a single name. A woman in robes the color of dusk stands nearby, brushing her hand along the tops of the boxers. She does not turn, but you know she knows you're there. She murmurs, "Some names bloom again, when the time is right." Then she is gone, and you are back in the clearing, breath steady, heartbeat slow. You do not speak, but you kneel beside the root and place your hand into the mist-filled hollow. It is cool, smooth, and filled with a stillness that is not silence, but the weight of waiting. You feel your own name, its shape, its warmth begin to curl through the earth beneath you. Slow as a growing vine, not spoken, not carved, but remembered. A breeze moves through the trees again, lifting the scent of damp moss and distant rain. You feel the presence of the forest settling back into its rhythm. You rise slowly, brushing soil from your fingertips, and begin to walk once more. The roots recede, the names dim, but the warmth lingers in the distance. A soft tapping begins, like something gently knocking beneath the ground, or perhaps above, like a finger against glass. You pause, then move on. Behind you, one of the roots stirs slightly, as if stretching in sleep. A new name begins to form, curling slowly, softly and finished. Still growing. The woods grow quieter as you step beyond the last known path, your feet brushing through thin veils of mist that cling to the roots like forgotten wishes. Each breath you take leaves a hush in the air behind you, like a secret the wind has decided to keep. Shadows stretch long across the forest floor, softened at the edges like smudged charcoal, and above you, branches weave a low, rustling canopy that sighs with ancient sleep. The sky, barely visible, has gone silver with cloudlight. It no longer matters what time it is. The sun and moon have withdrawn behind the gauze of drifting mist, leaving the world dim and unmarked, as if inside a memory that no longer knows when it happened. You walk with slow purpose, though there is no clear destination, only a feeling, the sense of being guided, gently, toward a place that has waited for you through many winters. The forest does not speak, but it does not remain silent either. It breathes around you in steady rhythm, the soft exhale of the wind through pine needles, the creak of an old branch bending under unseen weight, the hush of something shifting through fallen leaves just beyond your sight. Then you see it. The ancient pine. Its trunk is thick and ridged with moss-soft bark, older than the memory of the land. It rises from the forest floor like a pillar, solemn and still, its roots curled outward like resting hands. Beneath its reach, the ground is cleared of thorns and bramble, as if kept by something unseen. In its shadow lies a strange and inviting bed, a nest of pale white petals and loose flakes of snow, arranged in a shallow hollow. The petals are wide and soft, some fresh, some nearly translucent with age. The snow is dry and silken, giving off no chill. You pause, watching the bed as one watches a pond, unsure if something might ripple from beneath its surface. But it remains still, perfectly still, as though it has been waiting only for you. There is no other sound now, even the birds have grown quiet, as though watching too, their wings held close. You kneel, brushing your fingertips across the petals. They do not crumble, they yield. The texture is somewhere between velvet and ash, dry and yet alive. When you lie down, the nest cradles your body with the care of something that knows your shape. The cold does not bite, it soothes, it softens. Your breath slows your heart, until even your thoughts seem to float just above you, turning like flakes in the air. The pine above you leans slightly inward, its limbs drawn close, as though sheltering a secret in your sleep. And you do begin to sleep, though you are not unconscious. Your eyes close, but your senses bloom wider. You feel the hum of the roots deep beneath you, curling through earth and stone. You sense the hush of snow that never falls, yet rests forever. Upon the ground, somewhere in the distance, a lullaby drifts. It is not sung in a voice. It has no words. It is simply the feeling of an old tune, fading into silence the way candlelight gutters when no one watches. You do not need to remember it. It remembers you. There is something gently strange in the air. Not fear, not quite, a presence. Like sitting beside a river you cannot see, hearing footsteps on a path behind you that never quite arrive. And yet you are not afraid. You are not alone. You are not with anyone, either. Only the forest, only the tree, only the bed of white. Breathing with you, the wind stirs softly, carrying with it the scent of something sweet and buried, crushed blossoms, and old wood smoke. You feel it curl around your face, like the brush of a memory you haven't had yet. The pine's needles whisper gently above, in patterns that seem almost like speech. You hear them shaping something, not words, but echoes of them. Names perhaps, or dreams once spoken aloud and left to dissolve. You remain still. You do not want to move. A shadow passes across the tree's bark, slow gliding, not cast by anything you can see. The forest seems to exhale again. The snow glitters faintly with light that has no source. You open your eyes. Nothing has changed. The tree stands watchful above. The nest holds your body as gently as the moment you lay down. But something in the atmosphere has deepened. A note in the silence, a slight tilt in the breath of the world. You feel as though you are no longer in the center of the forest, but at its edge, an edge not marked by distance, but by awareness. You have slipped into some forgotten threshold, and the world has not yet decided whether to draw you further in or let you go. Your eyelids grow heavy again. You let them fall. The lullaby returns. This time, it seems closer. You imagine a figure in the woods, not dangerous, not even visible, just a shape in the mist. Someone with a lantern, walking slow circles around the pine, watching over the bed, humming in a voice made of air and memory. They never speak, they do not come near. But their presence is an old one, patient and careful. Like moss growing in a language of touch. The petals beneath you shift slightly. Just a whisper, as if stirred by breath, not yours. You lie still. Even your thoughts are still now. The snow beneath your hands is neither warm nor cold. It is like touching time itself, fragile, falling, weightless. You imagine if you opened your mouth, snow would drift in and dissolve against your tongue, like dust from a dream. The forest breathes again, and then silence. Not absence of sound, but a fullness of it, like being underwater, or deep inside a cave. A silence that holds you, not empties you. You cannot tell how long you remain like this. It could be minutes, or seasons. Time does not move the way it once did. You are suspended in this soft hush, resting in the embrace of petals and snow, beneath a pine that remembers more than any living thing should. Then, from far away, so far it barely stirs your thoughts, a single chime rings out. It is not sharp, not loud, just a gentle toll, like a bell swaying in a place where no wind blows. And from that sound, something opens in the forest, or perhaps in you. The petals shift again. You do not sit up, but your breath pauses. A breeze passes over the pine, and with it, a voice or something like it, moves across your skin. Are you resting or returning? It doesn't wait for an answer. A flake settles on your lips. It tastes of ash and lavender. The forest leans closer still, and somewhere nearby, where the mist folds in tight, a lantern flickers once, then goes out. You awaken or dream that you do with your cheek pressed gently against damp earth, the smell of moss and metal lingering in your breath. The world is hushed, as though holding its inhale, and when you lift your head, you find yourself lying at the foot of a gate. It is old, taller than you by half. Rust clinging to its bars like lichen, its hinges greened and furred with age. Vines grow up through its frame, winding softly through the metal like veins through skin. There are no walls to either side of it, only open air and low ground fog, as if the gate marks not an entry, but a decision. The forest presses gently behind you, branches hushed and still. But this gate has no latch, no chain, only its lean, its invitation. You rise slowly, every movement feels quieter than it should. Muffled not just by the mossy floor, but by something more abstract, more ancient like silence, stored in the folds of the trees, in the places sound forgets. The gate creaks not outward, not away but inward, slowly, heavily, toward something not quite visible. Mist stirs on the other side, parting like breath on glass, revealing nothing. Only the hint of a path that isn't quite a path. The idea of a clearing that may not exist. The gate swings fully open. You are not surprised. Your hand touches the edge of the gatepost, cold and textured like old memory. And then you step forward. The moment you cross the threshold, the forest behind you softens. It doesn't vanish, it doesn't fall away, but it lets you go. There is a feeling like unhooking a gentle release, as if invisible threads that held you in place have been delicately snipped. You breathe. The air beyond the gate is heavier, not in a suffocating way, but as though it's filled with more time, older air, denser with things once spoken and now forgotten. The mist shifts with your movement, curling around your ankles, lifting slightly to brush your knees. It does not obscure the ground entirely. Your feet still find the worn earth beneath, but just barely, like reading through a veil. The trees here are thinner, their bark paler, and many seem not to touch the ground at all. Their roots are shallow, or else swallowed by the mist, as though floating in it. Some are leafless, yet not dead. Their branches twitch gently, though there is no wind. They remind you of reaching fingers, or antennae listening to dreams. You walk, slowly, deliberately. Your footfalls are muffled, and each step feels not like motion, but transformation, as if the world reshapes behind you and before you, with every inch you claim. Now, and then you hear something. A soft chime, far away, like glass tapped lightly underwater. Then nothing. Then a faint humming, lower than your hearing can quite grasp, as though the ground itself is singing a single, unbroken note. You pass under a bow where pale ribbons hang, stained and curling at the ends. They sway as if someone has just passed. Beneath them, you look around, but there is no one. Only the hush and the rhythmic drip of condensation falling from unseen heights. Sometimes the mist lifts slightly, and you glimpse stone markers low, square shapes nestled against roots. Some are carved with unfamiliar sigils, some blank, some worn to illegibility. You do not touch them. You do not feel you are meant to. Far ahead, something glows faintly, a light, no a reflection perhaps, or the memory of a flame. You move toward it with quiet breath, feeling your heartbeat slow to match the stillness of this place. The path becomes softer, more yielding beneath your feet, and you realize it's no longer earth but a thick carpet of pine needles, old and dry. Your steps make no sound now at all. Even the mist grows quieter. You come to a clearing. The mist parts just enough to show you a pool round. Still, the color of cold glass. At its edge, a single chair sits. Wooden, narrow-backed, with a slant that suggests wear and long waiting. On the chair, draped gently over the arm, is a coat. It is not your coat, but it could be. You feel the urge to sit. Not from tiredness, but from something deeper. A knowing, the kind of knowing that comes in dreams when you recognize a place you've never seen. So you sit. The chair creaks once, then quiets, embracing you like a thought returned to after many years. The coat smells faintly of smoke and lavender. You rest your hands on your lap and look into the water. Your reflection is faint, warped slightly by the shifting mist, but you see your eyes slower, softer, older, somehow. Behind your reflection, something else stirs. Not a figure, not a shape, just a ripple, a brush of movement that has no form, like a memory trying to be remembered. You close your eyes, you listen. There's a breeze now, gentle like a sigh. It stirs the edges of the mist, carries the scent of something distant, damp stone, old paper, a faint sweetness like forgotten fruit. In the stillness, you begin to notice something subtle. The trees are no longer silent. They murmur, not in words, but in texture, branches brushing one another, bark shifting in its sleep. A conversation too quiet to hear, too ancient to translate. You feel yourself becoming quieter, as though the gate did not only let you in, it took something from you. Not a loss, a trade. And the trade feels fair. Time passes differently here. Maybe forward, maybe inward. You rise from the chair after some immeasurable stretch. The coat remains behind. The pool is still. The mist, slightly thinner now, reveals more of the path ahead, though ahead is only a feeling. The direction of soft pressure, of subtle pull. You walk again. The forest opens and closes around you like breath. Sometimes wide, sometimes close. Sometimes the trees have bark. Sometimes they are made of smooth black glass. Sometimes there are no trees at all, only hanging roots and flickering motes of light. Like fireflies unsure of their own glow, you find a bridge, broken in the middle, but you do not need to cross it. You watch the mist pour through the gap like slow water. Somewhere below, something breathes just once and the bridge creaks. Then stills. You walk on. Eventually, the path begins to slope downward, gently, as if leading into a memory not yet yours. The mist thickens once more, clinging to your shoulders. Now, resting like a shawl. Your breath is visible, but not cold, just present. A reminder. And then ahead, you see another gate. Smaller this time. Simple iron bars, looped at the top like handles. It does not swing. It stands closed. You reach for it. Your fingers pass through. The gate, or the idea of it, flickers there, not there. A threshold without a door. You feel a low hum through your chest, like a song being sung not to you, but with you. The gate glows faintly around the edges, then fades. You step forward once more, and as your foot touches the unseen path beyond, you hear just barely a sound like a voice speaking. Your name? Not aloud, not even inside your ears, but beneath your skin, as though you were the one saying it, long ago, and the echo is only now returning. You do not look back. You do not need to. Somewhere behind you, the first gate swings slowly shut. Not with finality, just softly, as if to say, this part is done. And the mist ahead waits.